High tech, low tech, or no tech. Through our hobbies and our passions, the geek comes out in us all.
The world's of geekdom.
I am a geek and I'm proud of it.
Geeks.
Geeks unite.
Well, let's get those nerds! Nerds! No!
Did you just call me a nerd?
Not all geeks are nerds.
Yeah.
This is Geek Therapy Radio.
What are we waiting for?
And now your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger.
Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. I am Johnny Hamburger, your mental curator, as John B. Wells just mentioned to you. That's me. As I say, that's still what it says on my underpants. I don't know why I always go there. This first segment of Geek Therapy Radio is absolutely going to blow your mind. And no, that is not just a clickbaity thing to say. That is not hyperbole. That is not just hype. Dude, hype is short for hyperbole. I just put that together in my head. Just now. I just geeked out for a second. I am not being facetious. I'm about to play you something that sounds completely normal, mundane, and innocuous, but once I explain to you what is happening in this audio, it is going to blow your head out of your trousers. It is going to blow your mind, guaranteed. So without further ado, let me just play this perfectly normal sounding audio, and then afterwards I'm going to explain what's really going on, and hold on to your butts.
Good evening.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, I'd like to reserve a table for Friday the 3rd.
Okay, hold on one moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hold on one second. So Friday, November 3rd. How many people?
For 2 people.
2 people?
Yeah.
What time?
At 5 p.m.
Okay. And your name?
The first name is Daniel. That's Daniel.
Okay. You're all set.
Okay, great. Thanks.
We'll see you next Friday. Okay, thank you. Bye.
So that sounded completely normal to you, didn't it? Sounded completely normal to me. When I first heard it, I was like, what is this? What is this boring audio? What does this have to do with anything? This sounds so dumb. What's the point here? What is the rub? How could this perfectly boring piece of audio blow my mind? Here's how. The man calling the restaurant to make the reservation was not a human being. That was 100% artificial intelligence. The voice, everything was encoded and reacting on the fly. That means when the host at the restaurant, or the hostess at the restaurant, was replying, that the AI was listening to it, measuring its response, and then repeating it in a human inflection. So once again, the man making the call to the restaurant was not a person at all. That was a computer. That was the new Google Duplex. That's what it's called, Google Duplex. Basically, what this is going to allow you to do, and again, this was just a demonstration that I just played for you. Although the restaurant operator, the restaurant host was not, or hostess was not scripted. Nothing was scripted. It was just a pure demonstration of what this technology can do. 100% rendered and processed on the fly. Nothing pre-recorded. Basically, what this is going to allow you to do is talk to your connected device. You know, I have an Alexa in my house, an Amazon Dot. Some people have Google devices, Google Home devices, whatever it's called. Android has Bixby. Apple has Siri. All of those things just got blown out of the water by Google right here. All those things. Siri sounds stupid now compared to this new Google Duplex. Basically, what it's going to allow you to do, and I hope I don't trigger any devices by saying this, but it's going to allow you to do something like this. For instance, okay, Google, schedule an oil change at Jiffy Lube for next Monday at 3 p.m. And Google will say, okay, let me do that for you. So basically, Google, on your behalf, a robot, artificial intelligence, is going to call Jiffy Lube to set up an appointment for your oil change. And no matter what accent the person on the other end is using, whether it's a male or female, doesn't matter. The artificial intelligence is going to be able to listen and decipher what the actual human being is saying, what the actual human employee is saying, and Google Duplex will be able to process that and think and respond in an extremely human way. Didn't you hear? Go back and listen to the audio. What makes this stand out so much, what makes this so eerie, is that this artificial intelligence is adding things like those pauses, those natural inflections in human speech that differentiate it from Siri, or things like Siri or Amazon Alexa. I mean, Amazon Alexa and Siri can be very smart. They can be Weisenheimers, but you can still tell it's a computer voice. If I hadn't told you that what you just heard was artificial intelligence, was a robot voice, would you have believed me? Did you hear anything that stood out to you immediately in that audio? My guess and my bet is that you didn't. This is both awesome and terrifying at the same time. Let's get into it. Let's geek out over this. Let's pick our brains as to the ramifications of this new technology. Once again, it's maybe a year or two out before you can download this feature onto your phone. Which also blows my mind that a phone can do this. Anyways, even though the data is probably... the actual processing is done offsite in a server. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on. This is cool just for the convenience factor. Of course, it's going to be convenient to, like I said, I'm just thinking of all sorts of examples. Make hair appointments. Make doctor's appointments. Just by asking, okay, Google, make a doctor's appointment for me for next Monday around 2 p.m. Okay, let me handle that for you. For a convenience factor, that's really cool. For a terrifying factor, if you remember, those of my loyal listeners who may remember me doing a show maybe about a year ago where I said that artificial intelligence and voice technology is going to become so realistic, it is going to usher in a completely new era of quote-unquote fake news. For instance, artificial voices are going to get so convincing that someone can write a speech for Donald Trump, enter it into the computer, and then effectively it's Donald Trump's voice making the speech with such a human inflection. The AI will have studied so much of Donald Trump's speech patterns that it will reproduce it almost perfectly. Or at the first glance, for a 3-second, 5-second soundbite, which all anything is anymore, the listener, 99.9%, if not 100% of people, will not be able to tell that, no, this isn't Donald Trump speaking. And I'm just using Donald Trump as an example. It can be anybody. It can be Bill Gates. It can be a celebrity. It can be absolutely anyone. It could be a CEO of a company. Anybody. That makes things easy for these people. Let's say Donald Trump really does want to write a comment about something. He wants to write his opinion on something. He can do that and then just have a computer read it off for him in his voice. But there's the rub. So can anybody. So can anyone. That is terrifying. And if you think I'm being facetious again, if you think I'm being overly dramatic, go back to the beginning of this segment. Listen to that. Listen to that, even knowing now that it's artificial intelligence. Completely unscripted artificial intelligence. Now apply it to what I'm saying. To where voice recognition technology and voice reproduction technology is going to get so accurate, so precise, that if there is any recorded version of your voice anywhere, which since the dawn of telephones, there is, especially smartphones, especially cell phones, your voice is recorded. Every computer on earth is going to know the inflection of my voice, especially being here on the radio, making these podcasts, anything I do on YouTube, whatever. My voice is forever locked inside company's servers, inside Google servers. That means if someone wants to write a comment on my behalf, they can say something so horrible. They can type up something so horrible, so horribly offensive, so horribly racist, so horribly political one way or the other, and say, "Did you hear what Johnny Hamburger said? Let's listen to the soundbite. Johnny Hamburger doesn't like black people. Holy crap, he's racist." No, I never said that. Like, I never physically said those words. And I'm using me as an extreme example, being somewhat of a public personality, public figure here on the radio. And am I? I don't know. Whatever. What's terrifying is that not just for people in the media, people in the public spotlight, they can do this to you too. This can make getting a job really hard. You go to apply for a job wherever, and they'll say, "Well, we looked you up, we Googled you, and we pulled up you saying something horrible about our company or horrible about something, one of our company's business practices. Why should we hire you?" Now you have to defend yourself from your own voice, from you saying things that you never really said. That's horrifying. Here's the thing, real quick, on the way out, not real quick, I'll get into it for a second. I was talking to a young person the other day. Here's the ramifications of how convenient this new technology can possibly be. Like I said, it's really cool. It's really cool in the fact that it can make things really convenient. Basically, what this technology allows is, again, I was talking to a young person who we confirmed this. This technology basically enables our social anxiety. What do I mean by that? The internet has simultaneously connected us to the world, to our fellow mankind, in a way that has never been possible before. We are more connected than ever. On the flip side, social anxiety is at an all-time high. We are terrified to pick up our phone and talk to somebody. We would rather text. It's more convenient to text. We are increasingly afraid of that personal connection, of that personal face-to-face, voice-to-voice connection. We are increasingly scared of that. So it's way more convenient to enable our social anxiety by using a service like Google Duplex, like we've just been talking about here in our segment. So when I was talking to the 17-year-old kid, very articulate, very smart dude, he was talking about, I've got all these friends online. But at the same time, he can understand where his generation, and to a certain extent my generation, 34-year-olds, we don't like talking on the phone so much anymore. We'd rather just a quick text. Matter of fact, when a number calls my phone that I don't recognize, I don't pick up. And I know for a fact I'm not alone in that. And it kind of pisses me off too, because these random numbers will call me and I'll say, leave a message. I'll be telling the phone, okay, if this is someone important, leave a freaking message. And as a matter of fact, when the phone rings and I know for a fact my outgoing message is going to play, hey, it's Johnny Hamburger, leave a message for me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So that I can check the voicemail and say, oh, this is important. This is a friend whose number that I got lost in my contacts or something. I'll call them back whenever possible, and I will call them back eventually. But we are just so afraid nowadays of that personal connection. We are both so connected with the internet, but at the same time, so incredibly disconnected personally from each other. In this Google Duplex application, this Google Duplex artificial intelligence service that's going to roll out here in the next year or two is going to further enable that interpersonal disconnect. That's all I have to really say about that. We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio, more fun stuff coming up. I give my little my overview of the new 2019 Jetta. I haven't talked about cars specifically on here, especially new cars, because mostly they're boring. But the new Jetta, it stuck out to me enough to talk about. So that's coming up later. I'm also going to talk about how the sun is going to kill us. I know that sounds super clickbaity, but it's true. The sun will kill us. It's just an interesting conversation nonetheless. Be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. Go subscribe to all of the social media stuff. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I'll see you in just a minute or two. Not to alarm you, but we're all gonna die. All of us are gonna die. And there are many, many things in this universe and man-made that are going to kill us all eventually. Right now, it's just a race to see which one of the things is most imminent to the extinction of the human race. So let's talk about that. I promise you, it's not all doom and gloom. This is supposed to be more of a fun mental exercise. It's more of a way to make us think and maybe learn a little something on the way. So let's discuss. What brought this to my attention, what sparked this idea, is that there's a news article that has come out this week saying that by 2020, California is going to require all new home construction to include solar panels by law. That article rubbed me, well, it again, like last segment, it's very cool, but at the same time, it rubs me the wrong way. So let's talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll talk about all the different ways. We'll think of all the different ways that we're all going to die from extinction. So in 2020, all new home construction in California is going to be required by law to have solar panels. I love solar panels. I have solar panels. I am currently not using the solar panels. They are in storage. I'm in an apartment right now, and there's no practical way to install the solar panels. But I have a simple 45-watt system that connects to a deep cycle 12-volt battery. I've only got one. And I have it going through an inverter, so I can do things like charge my laptop, charge my phones, run fans, run lights, all sorts of basic necessities to our day-to-day. It could run a water pump for whatever reason. I was talking with Shannon, who works over here at iHeart. I was telling her about the story briefly. I was coming to relieve her of her shift, and I was coming on at 12 p.m. So anyways, I was talking to her about this story, and it reminded me that one of the things I would like to do in my future home is rainwater collection. I would like to store rainwater, because rainwater is very good for using in the yard, for watering the yard, and for other applications. It is a shame that once the rain runs off our roof, it runs through our lawn and then down into the gutter and then out into Galveston or to a water treatment plant, whatever. There's a lot of free water that rains from the sky that we can be using, at the very least, to water our lawns in between rain storms. So I was telling Shannon, the reason why we can't do that isn't because of any political reason to stick it to the hippies. It's because of mosquitoes. And mosquitoes are deadly. By the way, side note, the deadliest animal in the world, the deadliest animal in the world, the number one animal to cause the most human death each year, what do you think it is? Shark? No. Pigs? No. Not buffalo. Hippos? Nope. The number one animal to cause the most human death per year is the mosquito. So that's why we can't store rainwater. That's why it's illegal. It's not just HOA. It's usually illegal to store rainwater, because those are just literally cesspools for mosquitoes to breed and reproduce. And mosquitoes have Lyme disease. Mosquitoes carry airborne disease just in general. The next pandemic that wipes out human existence on Earth can be from a mosquito bite. Mosquito bites very well can be the source of our extinction. So that's why we can't store rainwater. Back to my solar panels, back to the water pump idea. You need to keep water circulating to avoid having mosquitoes reproduce and the life cycle continue in stagnant water. You need to have a water pump circulating the water. So I wanted to have my solar panels hooked up to a water pump in a series of, Rubbermaid trash cans or whatever to collect rainwater, but keep the water flowing between the cans. Also keep lids on the cans some way, keep it airtight, but keep the water moving so there's no possible way for any mosquito larva to survive in there. But most people aren't going to do that. The reason why rainwater collection is illegal because most people are just going to put their downspout into a trash can and have the water there, and they're just going to scoop it up or whatever and pour it on their plants. But in the meantime, just an explosion of mosquitoes. So that's why we can't have it. So I have solar panels. This all ties in together with our extinction events and with the story out of California that by 2020 all homes will be required by law to have solar panels. So I love solar panels. I want solar panels on my home. I'm going to have solar panels on my home in more than just the way that I described I already have, which is just which is just a 45-watt system. I want my air conditioning at least to be run completely off of solar. Here's what rubs me as a red-blooded American. I know this is 100% it's a states' rights issue, but while I would personally elect on my own home to have solar panels, it's just like this reaction that we have as humans, most of us anyways, that we'll do good things on our own, but as soon as the government or some authority figure tells you to do it or else, we don't want to do it anymore. So I don't like that part of it personally. I'd still do it. And honestly, if we had a vote here in Houston to implement such a policy, don't pin me politically on this, but I would heavily lean towards voting for such a proposition that each new construction has to include solar panels. Even though I don't like the idea of government telling me that I have to, I would like some clause in there that says, by default, every new construction must include solar panels unless the homeowner opts out of it, unless they don't want it. Because here's what I think happens. Instituting a law that says each new construction by default must contain solar panels, that already is going to increase the use of solar panels by and large. I'm using Houston as an example, among 6 million people. Because most people, the vast majority of people, if given the option to just simply opt out of this clause to keep their solar panels off their house, most people are going to keep the solar panels. A very small fraction of people, I predict, would say, no, I don't want solar panels on my house. So if by default each new house has solar panels on it, that with a little clause that people cannot include them, that's already going to increase solar capacity in our city. I just don't like the idea of, for instance, okay, you can opt not to have solar panels, but you're going to be fined for it, or we're going to increase your taxes for it. As long as it remains, listen to me, as long as it remains a tax incentive to have the solar panels, I'm fine with making it law that all new homes must be initially built with solar panels unless the owner opts out of it. I'm okay with that. I don't want there to be a penalty to the homeowner for opting not to have the solar panels. I want there to be incentive, as it currently stands, for them to have solar panels. If we can work a law in some way that works out to appease all parties, I'm 100% for this solar panel idea. I disagree with a whole lot of California politics. A lot of it doesn't make sense. But this, I'm okay with. I'm not a quote-unquote flaming liberal or anything like that. Actually, I piss most people off because I'm pretty middle of the road. And nothing pisses off more people than telling a conservative, no, I don't agree with that, and telling a liberal, no, I don't agree with that either. Being right in the middle, consciously thinking about each topic, consciously thinking about each situation, people don't like that. That really pisses people off, that you are not hard left or hard right. Well, I see merits to this side of the argument. I see merits to this side. No! You either hate Trump or you love Trump. You either hate Hillary or you love Hillary. You either love Bernie or you hate Bernie. You can't be in the middle. You can't say, well, I like this policy here that he speaks of, and I don't like this policy, but I do like this thing that he talks about. No. Either love him or hate him. For instance, Trump is doing some good things. I'll just come out there and say it. Some good things. Do I think he's a good person? Hell no. No. Do I hate him? No. Do I love him? No. You know, we were watching, Sarah and I watched this this neat it's not a documentary, it's a drama about the Civil War. It's called, not Civil War, the Revolutionary War. It was called Turn. It's on Netflix. I highly recommend everybody watch it. It's called Turn. The main bad guy in the series, what was his name? He's the tall, redheaded guy. But he's terrible. He's like evil. He's psychotically evil. But the end of the show, and the whole point of the show is that there's so much gray area in everything. We might read history books that kind of paint, for instance, in the past that kind of painted Columbus as this god figure, this like heroic figure, when really history is very gray. At best, it's gray. I'm not saying Columbus was evil, and I'm also not saying that he was a hero. He was a human person. Am I evil? Am I a hero? No. Where am I? I'm somewhere in between there. Most of us are. So it's not that far-fetched of an idea to think that, hey, all these historical figures were probably pretty human like us. Good in some ways, bad in some other ways. Anyways, this bad guy of the Revolutionary War, who's a bit based on real people, after the war was over, this evil person went up to Canada because he was from Britain, and Britain went up to Canada to start Canada. When he was in Canada, he abolished slavery. He completely outlawed slavery. This is an evil person who in the entire show was painted to be evil, but he went to Canada and he outlawed slavery. Hold on, I'm getting interrupted. What's that?
Are we still just top and bottom on traffic?
Yes. Top and bottom, and then during Barry, it's that
the
recorded
15?
thing. Yeah, 15 seconds.
The 15 record. Okay,
I think it's 15
still
to 20.
top and bottom from now till Michael Berry.
Till.
And I think that's 7 o'clock.
It's top and bottom 24/7.
Oh wait, no, it's 5 o'clock. Michael Berry, right?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. So okay, 5 o'clock. I need to throw in the 15.
Right, exactly. I'm just gonna leave that interruption anywhere in there because I can't fault anybody. I'm trying to record the show while I am at work. Back to the point. The person who's painted as evil in this entire show goes on to abolish slavery. So again, I'm not saying Trump is good or bad. I don't love him. I don't hate him. I feel exactly the same way towards him, almost, as I feel towards any other politician. Insert name in the blank. I already have an immediate suspicion of any politician, left or right, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Green Party, Independent, don't care. If your first inclination is just to love a politician, if your first inclination is just to love Bernie Sanders, love Hillary, love Trump, love Cruz, love Rubio, love John Kerry, you got a problem. You are delusional, I will just say. Straight up. Because they're humans. They're humans like all of us. And I didn't mean to get onto such a political diatribe here. But I'm trying to stay relatively in the middle. So anyways, back to California in 2020. And I'm going to save the apocalyptic discussion for the next segment. But I tend to, I'm not completely opposed to this California law that by 2020, all new homes must include solar panels. New homes, new construction homes. I think that's a good idea. If we apply that in Texas, once again, I say that we could apply it, but we should leave an option for the homeowner to opt out. And he's not punished for opting out. He merely doesn't get the tax rebates. Or she, of course. I think that's fair. With that, we're going to continue on more Geek Therapy Radio. Let's talk about apocalypses next. Let's talk about extinction events next. I'm Johnny Hamburger, mental curator. I can't even talk. We'll just be right back in a couple minutes. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. Mental curator Johnny Hamburger. Don't you want to hear about all the ways that we'll go extinct? Don't you want to hear now and talk about all the ways humanity and the earth will die? Let's get into it. What a super flowery subject. Again, this is not meant to scare anybody. This is just a mental exercise. So, what got me thinking about this is I was having a discussion with, well, once again, Sarah the other day. There's something going on politically, let's just say. And she had mentioned, well, I don't think she mentioned it, but it was brought up somehow, either by me or her, probably by me. I just said, in case of a nuclear outbreak, Houston is a first wave city. Houston's getting hit first. If there's a volley of nuclear missiles sent at the United States, it's hitting Houston, Los Angeles, and New York City, and Washington. Or change those three around. You know, if there's 3 targets getting hit, even if there's 2 targets getting hit, Houston's one of them. Not to paint a bleak picture. But I said, but relax, babe, because if Houston gets hit, we're so close to downtown, we'll vaporize instantly. We'll be watching Big Bang Theory and then see Jesus. Just commercial break, except we're in heaven. It'll just be that quick. Won't feel a thing. Now, people farther off, maybe people off, my mom up in Kingwood, or people in the Woodlands and further out from the city, you won't be spared the instant painless death that we living downtown will be granted. It's not going to happen. Can I just interject real quick? It's not going to happen. We're safe. That's not going to happen. Do you know why? Because the old saying goes, troops don't cross borders that money does. So the odds of a nuclear war, despite whatever you hear, despite whatever fear-mongering you hear in the media, it's not happening. We are in too much of a financial, mutually beneficial, but it's beneficial to one or both parties. We do lots of let me put it this way. We do lots of business with China. There's no economic incentive for China or for China to let North Korea do anything to us. There's huge economic ties in Russia. It's not economically smart to go to war with the United States because we are a great business partner. We send billions and trillions of dollars of business back and forth. So as long as that keeps happening, as long as we are in good economic relations with our country, with other countries, we're fine. And if you're thinking about Putin or stability or anything like that, I mean, it's business. It's business. It doesn't make sense to exterminate your business partner that is very good to you. A very good business partner makes no sense. Here's another thing. Let's just kind of go down the conspiracy theory list here a little bit. The government, there's no incentive for the government to come after us militarily. We talk about the right to bear arms is to defend ourselves from our government. You are not defending yourself against the might of the U.S. military. You can't, in 1 second, be praising our military and supporting our troops and getting a boner for the might of our military, and then the next segment say you have your firearms to defend yourself against said military. Do you see the divide there? I am not anti-gun at all. Don't get me wrong. I am 100% pro the right to bear arms, to defend yourself against intruders, to defend yourself against people who want to hurt your family. Of course, 100% for it. Also, just basically, I think people should be able to buy whatever the hell they want within reason. But that's a whole debate we're not getting into. I'm just saying, basically, I'm all for the Second Amendment. It's just really stupid to think that you're going to defend yourself from the government. That if your argument is, I need this entire gun locker because what if Uncle Sam comes for me? Bro, if Uncle Sam wants you dead, you're going to reach for your Budweiser and be vaporized before you know it. Some teenage kid sitting under a mountain at NORAD is going to just press a button in your house and you will be eliminated without so much as putting a dent in your neighbor's vinyl siding. That's how that goes down. If the government wants you gone, you're gone. Reach for your Budweiser, then you're talking to Jesus. That's how it goes. And your next door neighbor probably won't even know anything happened. That's how efficient and mighty the United States military is. So you think you're going to sit on your lawn with a rifle, popping pea shooters at tanks rolling up your street? No. Government wants you gone, you're gone. That's how that works. No arsenal you can amass in your home is going to defend you from that scenario. Really. What your firearm is going to allow you to do is allow your children to be defended against from an attacker. That's what the right is. That is all that is realistically that a firearm's going to protect you from. An intruder, an invader, your neighbor, a ruffian, whoever. That's who a firearm's going to defend you against. Not going to do nothing against the might of the U.S. military. Oh, well, what about Russians? What if the Russians come flooding across the border? You think you're going to have a chance against the Russian military also? You know? Really? Now, it's a different thing if you form up a militia. I don't mean to get off on this tangent that there's not absolutely zero validity to the right to bear arms argument against foreign invaders. You know, by the time a Russian gets to your lawn, it's probably just going to be, you know, a small troop of men with much smaller arms than the entire United States government aimed at your house. I didn't mean to get off on that whole tangent. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, extinction events. But that's what Geek Therapy Radio is all about. We get to go off on these tangents. What do you think about that? All that. Flame me. Send me emails now. JohnnyHemberger@geektherapy.com. JohnnyHemberger@geektherapy.com. Or just go to geektherapyradio.com. Go to geektherapyradio.com and sound off. Go to Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, and sound off. In a nutshell, to encapsulate what I just talked about for the past 5-6 minutes is that I'm 100% the right to bear arms. I'm 100% the right to buy guns as you choose. Just don't make the argument that it's to defend yourself against your own government, because that ain't happening, Charlie. That scenario ain't happening. Oh yeah, I got on this subject because there's no incentive for the U.S. government to eliminate the American population. I'm going to give I left a little pause there for you to scream at me. A little pause there for you to start yelling. And I'll wait for you to be done yelling at me before I finish my thought here. Alrighty, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and I'll finish the sentence. I'll finish the sentence as why the government's not going to kill you off. 3, you ready? Calming down? 3, 2, 1. Because you pay taxes. Because you are the government's cash cow. The population is what makes politicians rich. So there is no incentive. If you're a farmer and let's use cash cows as an example. If you're a farmer and you have a field of cows producing lots of product for you, and you are fat and you're happy because your field of cows is doing so great, you're not going to go through your field with tanks and machine guns and missiles and blow up your stock, Because guess what? You'd be broke. So the government's not coming after us. Because if they did, the government would go broke. And the government likes money. Politicians like money. So you're safe. Uncle Sam's not going to come after you militarily in the first place. So let's eliminate hostile takeover by our own government from an extinction event. Let's erase nuclear apocalypse. Well, let's not totally erase it. In a nuclear apocalypse event, just pray you are near the blast and you are not outside the blast radius, because you want to go instantly. This is the darkest segment of Geek Therapy Radio ever. But let's talk about external events that could lead to the mass extinction of the human race. The sun's going to burn out in another 3.5 billion years or so. But the sun, we have about 1 billion years left with the sun that the sun can sustain life on Earth. After 1 billion years, it's going to be too big and too hot. All the oceans will be evaporated. There's no way. After 1 billion years, even if we do everything we can to reverse climate change, doesn't matter. The sun gets bigger and hotter and is going to kill us eventually. Our only hope for surviving in the human race is to get off the planet, go somewhere else. But even if we go to Mars, the sun is going to keep expanding. It'll be uninhabitable. It already is uninhabitable. But let's say we do terraform it and we are living there for another few billion years. The sun is going to reach out there too, burn us to a crisp there. We have to, for the human race to survive, we have to expand like a virus out into the cosmos. That's why I love Star Trek, because even that, us, human race expanding like a virus, that's a harsh way to put it, but the human race expanding like that leads to all sorts of other ethical and moral dilemmas that Star Trek is so great at mentally picking your brain about. What else can kill us? Volcanic apocalypse. The time frame for that is the next 0 to 100 million years, maybe. Right now, Hawaii is going up in flames because of the volcanoes. Thoughts and prayers with all those people dealing with that. Side tangent. Somebody saying thoughts and prayers is not useless. Goodwill towards men is not useless. Goodwill towards men is what will save us from lots of potential human apocalypses. Maybe if we loved each other a little bit more. Maybe if we didn't get so offended by someone saying, "Oh, I'm praying for you." Maybe if we didn't get in such up in arms about, "Oh, prayers are worthless. You know what's better than a prayer? $1." How about, let me just be frank. You know what's better for humanity? You know what's better for us as humankind and our survivability? Not being a dick. So if someone tells you, "Oh, I'm praying for you, bro," or "I'll pray for you," or whatever, just appreciate the kind sentiment. Holy crap. Your first reaction is, "Prayers are useless. Well, I would just be saying prayer for anybody. Just send $1 is better." Just recognize that a nice thing has happened and accept the nice thing. Is it so bad to accept nice things from people? Nice thoughts? That goodwill towards men is automatically this thing to be offended about? Holy crap. Let's worry about the volcanoes that are going to get us in the next 0 to 100 million years, possibly. Other things. Basically, what essentially I'm getting at with this segment is there's all sorts of things that can kill us externally, so let's be as good as we can to each other internally. Outside of those events, let's be as good to each other. What's the point? I mean, what's the point of being nasty? Also, what's the point of polluting the place where we live in the meantime? So the end result of I don't like the term, the pop hyped phrase global warming. I don't like it when it's used like that, when it's used to tug at the heartstrings. It's a political stance. I don't like it in that regard. But I do like the outcome of it, because even if it's all malarkey, even if global warming is bullcrap, let's say that the scientists who have studied for years and centuries are wrong. Let's say scientists are wrong and climate change isn't happening. The worst thing that can happen from us throwing away our trash is that we have a nice place to live. That's the worst outcome from that sentiment, is that our yard is nice and our air is nice. So whether or not climate change is real, whether or not it's just a political bullcrap, The end result is, at worst, we have a clean yard. We have a nice place to live. Our room is clean. Anyways, asteroid threat. Within the next 450 million years, we might get hit by an asteroid, the same that, extincted the dinosaurs. The Earth's core will freeze over in the next 3 to 4 billion years. When the Earth's core freezes over, that means we have no more magnetic field. That means sun's radiation beats us to death. By the way, the sun gets too hot in a billion years, while the Earth's core goes out in 3 to 4 billion years. So the sun's going to get us before the core goes out. But if the core freezes up, we have no protection from cosmic rays. It's our magnetic shield. That churning core of the Earth creates that magnetic shield which protects us from all manner of cosmic miscreants. Gamma ray burst. Of all the ways to go, I think gamma ray burst would be the coolest. Now, my personal favorite way to go, if I had to choose, not if I could choose. That's a whole different argument. That's a whole different mentality. If I had to choose, put to death, but you have to choose the way you die, T-Rex. Getting eaten by a T-Rex would be a cool way to go. It wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be painless, but like, oh, how'd he die? T-Rex, awesome. So cosmically, I think gamma ray burst is the coolest thing. And there is a star nearby us that can kill us. And we think that it might have a gamma ray burst within the next 500,000 years. We're not talking 500 million. We're not talking 5 billion. 500,000 years. But even if it did go off in the next 500,000 years, the gamma ray burst might miss us. In all likelihood, it probably will miss us. But still, it's a possibility. But it's possibly that no matter our best efforts, we're done in 500,000 years. Wandering stars. Wandering stars is a cool thing. 70,000 years ago, astronomers think that a wandering star came through our solar system and wreaked havoc on things. And it could happen again. But this is a million years time scale. Perhaps there's a dwarf star out there that we can't see. Anything that comes through our solar system that disrupts gravitation affects all of us. If something came through the solar system and disrupted the gravitation of Jupiter, that's nowhere near us. But if it brought Jupiter out of its eccentric orbit, even a few centimeters or whatever, that would throw off everything. That would throw off the gravitation. If the Earth moved just barely closer or further from the sun, we're done. So a wandering object of any great mass coming through our solar system, that will kill us. The last time that happened apparently was 70,000 years ago. 500 million years, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Oh, it's that we might destroy ourselves. I have more of an optimistic viewpoint. I don't think that we are going to devolve into this dystopian apocalypse. I don't agree with that because I want to believe better. And I think that we are better than that. Really. I'm not just saying that. I think we are better than that. So let me just end this segment here. There's lots of things that can kill us. We talked about the possibility of an outside government getting us, nuclear warfare, volcanoes, GRBs, gamma ray bursts, asteroid impacts, our sun expanding to killing us, our Earth's core freezing over, coming to a stop. But here's the fact. We have maybe around 100 years at best on this earth, you and me, person listening to this radio show. We have 70 to 100 years roughly to do the best we can. And as long as we're doing the best we can to each other and for each other and for the place where we live, we're going to be okay. You don't have to worry about an extinction event. This doom and gloom I just talked about, we don't have to worry about it. Just focus. Whether you believe in God or not, atheist, whatever if you worship a rock out in your garden, doesn't matter. We got 70 to 100 years or so on this earth with each other. So let's spend that 70 to 100 years with each other being good to each other. When someone makes a nice sentiment towards you, when someone says, I'll keep you in my thought and prayers, do not react negatively. Just think, that's good. That's human compassion. Nurture that human compassion. Please, for the love of God or for the love of that rock you worship in your yard or for the love of nothing you worship, just for the love of your fellow man. Stop worrying about what's going to kill us from the outside. Worry about what's going to kill us on the inside. Right back with one last segment of Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Stick around. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio, and now let's lighten it up just a little bit. I mentioned earlier in the show, in the first segment, that I was going to do my little overview of the new 2019 Volkswagen Jetta, and how normally I wouldn't do a review on such a common vehicle. I've had a Jetta in the past. I am an unashamed Volkswagen fanboy. I do not approve of Dieselgate. I do not approve of that whole debacle. That said, full disclosure, right after Dieselgate, I bought stock. I bought Volkswagen stock when it was dirt cheap, and it has been rebounding nicely. You know why? Volkswagen's not going anywhere. It's one of the biggest auto manufacturers on planet Earth. It's not going anywhere. So when investors fled after Dieselgate, I was like, what? Nothing's going to happen to Volkswagen. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to buy quite a bit of stock while the value is low, because right before it crashed, it was around $50 or so. And at its lowest, I think I bought, well, I don't know about at its lowest, but I bought in at $22 or thereabouts. So it's rebounding. And one of the ways it's doing it is with new vehicles like the 2019 Jetta. Again, I am not being paid for this. This is not at all a paid endorsement. It just stuck out to me because this is the first Jetta that I've ever seen that looked cool to me, that looked neat, and maybe it's because my current daily driver is getting a little bit long in the tooth, and I'm starting to think about a new vehicle. So certain vehicles are coming onto my radar, and for the first time ever, a Volkswagen Jetta is honestly right now one of my top candidates, because especially by the time I'm actually going to get one, it'll be used and it'll be significantly cheaper, already cheaper than it already is, because as we'll get to in a moment, this is the cheapest Jetta ever. Initial asking price, adjusted for inflation, all that stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the specs of the Volkswagen Jetta, and we'll hear from a Volkswagen rep right here.
This car is based on Volkswagen's MQB architecture. Compared with the current car, the new Jetta grows outside in every dimension.
So did you hear what he said? What he said right there? The MQB architecture. That means the Jetta is now bigger. It's more spacious. The most important factor of this is that using the MQB architecture allows them to keep the price low. Lots of other Volkswagen models use the MQB architecture. The Golf, the Tiguan, all sorts of other vehicles are on this platform, and that is one reason why they're able to keep costs down. We'll get to the costs later, but they're able to keep costs down with this model because it's such a widely used frame, basically. And it's used all over the world in every single market. So they're able to produce this car in mass all over the world, not just in one location, like not just in Brazil, not just in Tennessee, not just in Germany. Everywhere that Volkswagen has a plant, they're able to pump out Jettas. So it's like all hands on deck to make the Jetta, and it's using a very widely used platform among Volkswagen and a better platform. The Golf GTI is based on the MQB platform, and it is just a freaking peach. Let's hear more.
The combination of a large front grille and sharper lines expresses a bold character.
I think that the 2019 Jetta looks exquisite. In fact, that's the first thing that actually made me raise my eyebrows. Whoa, the new Jetta looks great. It's not as flashy as a lot of other manufacturers try to make their car. It just looks classy and nice. It's a baby Audi, basically. The lines are really crisp, really clean. You can call it kind of an origami style. So that said, I absolutely love the way the Jetta looks, but there's two things that I feel differently about. One is I'm not completely thrilled about the front grille. The front grille doesn't do anything to me. Everything between the front grille is almost perfect. It's gorgeous. It's a work of art, I would say, until you come to the rear end of the car. Rear end looks great, except for the fact that I hate fake exhaust tips. The Jetta has 2 fake exhaust tips. It looks like dual exhaust. They're not. It's fake, and I freaking hate that. I don't know why they did it. Just make the rear bumper completely flush. Don't put fake exhaust tips in there. It's dumb. They're just inserts. It looks stupid. Other than that, great job, Volkswagen. It looks almost perfect other than those 2 things, to me. Just my opinion.
Inside, the Jetta's fully redesigned interior combines high-tech features with everyday usability and refined fit and finish as you would expect from any Volkswagen.
I think the exterior or the interior also looks absolutely immaculate. I love how clean it is. There may be those who disagree with me on my opinions on the interior, but I think it looks great. The 2019 Jetta looks awesome. The technology package they have in there, that, yes, I know it's not going to be on all models, but the SEL and the SEL Premium models have this awesome heads-up display in between, in the binnacle, whatever you want to call it, and the infotainment system is awesome. But the interior just itself looks so high-tech, but so clean, so simple. I absolutely love the way the interior looks and the materials they're using on the interior. Everything you touch is going to be soft. I hate when they use hard, cheap plastics, but the interior of the 2019 Jetta absolutely looks amazing. I love it.
The new Jetta is the first Volkswagen in the US to offer a 400-watt Beats audio system.
No comment until I actually test drive and review the 2019 Jetta, which I hope to do fairly soon. But in general, here's what I think about Beats. Beats audio is stupid. Beats audio is a scourge. It's not that great. However, in a car, it might be okay. I really wish they would have held on to the Fender audio system, but alas, we get Beats audio, and I'll reserve judgment until I actually hear it. But just from the get-go, my initial idea of Beats is that I don't like Beats. Beats is stupid.
The Jetta's technology upgrades include a comprehensive suite of driver assistance technology like forward collision warning, autonomous emergency braking, blind spot monitor with rear traffic alert, adaptive cruise control, high beam control, and lane departure warning.
Anything that aids driver safety is wonderful, but the biggest thing that sticks out to me right there, especially for a Volkswagen Jetta, is the adaptive cruise control. My daily driver Audi right now doesn't even have adaptive cruise control, but that's just because it's a manual and it's not available for a manual. As I understand it, the 2019 Jetta is only going to be automatic. Don't quote me on that. I hope that changes, but as of now, my understanding is that they will all be the 8-speed automatic, which is good.
To go down on the streets, the new Jetta will be powered by a 1.4-liter turbocharged direct injection TSI engine, making 147 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque, the highest in the compact sedan class.
What I meant was that the automatic transmission is a good automatic transmission. I would much prefer to have a manual option, but if it's only the 8-speed automatic, as far as transmissions go, it's good. I'd still prefer the manual. The engine, that 1.4-liter turbo-charged engine, those are good numbers from a 1.4-liter. And the fact that it's going to get 30 city, 40 highway is great. That's good compromise. Plus, if I was going to get one, I'd probably chip tune it. Bump those figures to 200, or nearabouts 200 and 200 respectively.
When it comes to the price positioning, this great car will start at $18,545 in the United States. That's less than the outgoing car. Productivity improvements and the sheer scale of our worldwide MQB platform allows for that.
18 grand, that sounds all right for what you're getting. That is not the SEL or the SEL Premium models. of course, but 18 grand, that seems reasonable to me. If I got anything wrong in this Jetta review or anywhere in this podcast, anywhere in this radio show, you know how to contact me. geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. You can also go to geektherapyradio.com or the Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, or right here on YouTube if you're watching here on YouTube. Comment below. There might be something I got wrong about the Jetta, for instance. So just let me know down there. Let's share information. Let's not tear each other down. Let's not flame each other. Let's share and correct information, because that's the way we grow. Speaking of growth, be good to somebody this week. Be good to yourself also. We forget that. Be good to yourself. Treat yourself. Anyways, that's going to do it for Geek Therapy Radio. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see all you next week. Be good, be safe, and I'll see you then.